It was 3:47 a.m. when I heard my daughter sobbing through the bedroom wall. Not the soft tears of heartbreak. No, these were guttural animal sounds. It's the kind that only come when someone's soul is being ripped apart piece by piece. I pressed my ear against the cold plaster, my 70-year-old bones aching from the December chill, and I heard him. That venomous voice I'd learned to recognize over 18 months of watching him systematically destroy my child. You're choosing asterisk her asterisk over us? Over Emma? What kind of mother does that make you? I stayed silent. I watched. I waited. Because 3 hours earlier, I'd found something hidden in the guest bathroom drawer. Something that would shatter his carefully constructed illusion. Something that would prove what I'd suspected since the day he showed up at our doorstep with that monstrous smile. The smile that never reached his calculating eyes. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back. Back to where this war truly began. My name is Margaret Chen, and for 43 years I taught mathematics at Jefferson High School. I wasn't just a teacher. I was the department head who arrived at 6 a.m. and left at 8 p.m. Who spent weekends grading papers at our kitchen table while my husband Frank snored in his recliner. I sewed my daughter Rebecca's clothes until 4 a.m. before major exams because we couldn't afford the boutique dresses her classmates wore. When Frank's contracting business nearly collapsed in 2008, I sold my mother's jade bracelet, the only inheritance I'd received to cover payroll for his workers. I gave everything to build a stable foundation for my family. Rebecca grew up watching me sacrifice. She became a pediatric nurse, married young, had my granddaughter Emma at 24. When her first marriage crumbled, her ex was a gambling addict who drained their savings. She moved back home with Emma. Frank and I didn't hesitate. We converted the basement into a 2-bedroom apartment, installed new plumbing, bought furniture from estate sales. For 6 years, we were a unit, a fortress. Then Derek Mitchell walked into her life. He appeared at a hospital charity gala in March 2023. Tall, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my monthly pension. He worked in pharmaceutical sales, he said, though I noticed he never specified which company. He drove a silver Lexus. He brought expensive wine to Sunday dinners. He called me Mrs. Chen with exaggerated politeness, but his eyes. They assessed me like I was an obstacle to be removed. Within 3 months, the alienation began. It started subtly. Rebecca, your mom still does your laundry. Don't you think that's a bit infantilizing? Or, I love how close you are to your parents, babe, but Emma needs to see you as independent, not reliant. He never raised his voice, never showed anger. That's what made him so monstrous. Every poisoned word was delivered with a concerned smile, wrapped in false compassion. By summer, Rebecca stopped joining us for dinner. Derek thinks we need couple time, she explained, avoiding my gaze. Emma, my bright 7-year-old granddaughter who used to burst into my room every morning, suddenly became distant. Mommy says we can't bother Grandma so much. You're tired. I never said I was tired. The true horror revealed itself on October 15, 2024, Emma's 8th birthday. I'd been planning her party for months. I ordered a custom cake shaped like a unicorn, spent hours handcrafting decorations with holographic streamers. The party was scheduled for 2 p.m. at our house, as it had been every year since she was born. At 1:30, I was arranging gift bags when Rebecca called. Mom, there's been a change of plans. My stomach dropped. What kind of change? Derek booked a party venue. It's more appropriate for Emma's age group. Trampoline park with her school friends. Her voice was mechanical, rehearsed. Rebecca, we discussed this. Everything's ready. Emma was excited about. Mom, I need you to understand something. She inhaled sharply. Derek thinks we think it's time for boundaries. Emma's getting older. She needs to differentiate between her nuclear family and extended family. Extended family. I'd raised this child half her life, and now I was extended. You're not invited. I whispered. It's not that. It's just the party is for kids and parents. Derek says too many adults create confusion about authority figures. The words spilled out like she was reading a script someone else had written. I hung up. I sat in my kitchen surrounded by unicorn decorations and felt something inside me calcify into steel. Frank found me an hour later staring at the untouched cake. Margaret, what's wrong? He's taking her from us, I said quietly. And Rebecca's letting him. That night, I made a decision. I would not beg. I would not cry. I would observe. I installed a nanny cam in the living room, a small device disguised as a digital clock that Rebecca wouldn't question when she visited. I started documenting every interaction, dates, times, exact phrases Derek used. When Emma came over for brief supervised visits, always with Derek hovering. I recorded her anxious behaviors, how she flinched when I hugged her, how she parroted phrases like grandma. You're sensitive in that unnatural adult vocabulary. I also hired a private investigator. It's cost me $3,200 money from my retirement fund, but within 3 weeks, Marcus Delgado delivered a manila envelope that made my hands tremble. Derek Mitchell wasn't just a pharmaceutical sales rep. He'd been fired from his last position for falsifying expense reports, the Lexus, leased, and 3 months behind on payments. The expensive gifts, charged 2 maxed-out credit cards. But the most damning discovery came on November 8th. I was at Rebecca's apartment. She'd reluctantly agreed to let me watch Emma while she worked a double shift. Derek was supposedly at a conference in Chicago. While Emma napped, I used the bathroom. That's when I saw it. The guest bathroom drawer slightly ajar, stuffed with papers. Inside, I found documentation of Derek's plan to move Rebecca and Emma to Arizona. What we're considering? Active lease agreements. School enrollment forms for M** forged with Rebecca's signature asterisk. Flight itineraries for January 15th. He was going to take my daughter and granddaughter across the country without her full knowledge, using manipulated consent. I photographed everything with shaking hands. December 3rd, 2024. I requested a family meeting under the pretense of clearing the air before Christmas. Rebecca arrived looking exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. Derek came wearing that smile, confident, proprietary. Emma stayed with Frank in the kitchen, carefully out of earshot. We sat in my living room, the same room where I'd rocked Rebecca to sleep as a baby. Mom, if this is another guilt trip about boundaries, Rebecca started. It's not. I placed the manila envelope on the coffee table. Derek, I think you should explain what these documents mean. His smile flickered just for a second. I don't know what you're talking about. The lease agreement for a 3-bedroom in Scottsdale. The school registration for Emma at Desert Willow Elementary. The flight confirmations? I spoke calmly, each word a surgical incision. Rebecca's head snapped toward him. What is she talking about? Baby, it was supposed to be a surprise, a fresh start for us. You forged my signature, I continued, sliding the photocopies across the table. I had a handwriting analyst verify it. You've been planning to move them without her full informed consent, using her exhaustion and your systematic isolation tactics to manufacture compliance. This is insane. I also know about the embezzlement charges from Northfield Pharmaceuticals. The $47,000 in credit card debt. The fact that your business trips include visits to a woman named Alicia Reeves in Scottsdale, your ex-girlfriend, according to her social media, where she posted about your recent reconciliation. The room went silent. Rebecca's face drained of color. Derek, she's lying. She's a bitter old woman who can't stand seeing you happy. I have surveillance footage. My voice cut through his desperation like a blade. Of you telling Emma that her grandmother is too old and sick to take care of her. Of you coaching her to say she doesn't feel safe here. Parental alienation through a third party is psychological abuse. Derek, I've consulted with 3 family law attorneys. I pulled out the final documented notarized statement from my attorney, outlining options for protective intervention if Rebecca chose to pursue legal action. Derek stood abruptly, his mask finally shattering. You vindictive bitch. Get out of my house. Rebecca was crying now, not the manipulated tears I'd heard through the wall. but genuine cleansing sobs of recognition. "Oh my God! Oh my God! What have I done?" "You loved someone who lied to you," I said gently, reaching for her hand. "That's not your fault, but what you do next. That's your choice." Derek left that night. Not just my house, Rebecca's life. She filed a restraining order the next morning after discovering he'd drained $8,000 from her savings account. It's been 3 weeks since that confrontation. Rebecca and Emma moved back into the basement apartment, out of necessity this time, but choice. We're rebuilding what was broken, brick by careful brick. Emma's in therapy, learning to untangle the confusion Derek planted in her young mind. She crawled into my lap yesterday and whispered, "Grandma, I'm sorry I was mean." "You weren't mean, sweetheart," I told her, stroking her hair. "You were confused. That's different." Some nights, I sit in my bedroom and feel the weight of what I had to become: investigator, tactician, warrior. It hollowed something out of me. There's a loneliness in being the one who sees the monster before anyone else does. A loneliness in being dismissed as paranoid, controlling, bitter only to be proven right in the most painful way possible. But I'd do it again. Every surveillance photo, every dollar spent on lawyers, every sleepless night strategizing. 'Cause that's what love looks like sometimes. Not soft and warm, but sharp and vigilant. Frank asked me last night if I regret anything. I looked at Emma sleeping peacefully on our couch, her face relaxed in a way it hasn't been for months, and I knew my answer. "I regret that I had to," I said, "but I don't regret that I did." There's a particular kind of peace that comes from protecting your own even when it costs you the version of yourself who believed love alone was enough. Even when it brands you as the difficult mother, the interfering grandmother, the bitter old woman who couldn't let go. Let them call me what they want. I kept my family intact. I exposed the poison before it spread too deep. I wielded the law of consequences like the weapon it was meant to be, against those who manipulate the vulnerable, who weaponize love, who smile while they destroy. Derek Mitchell learned something that cold December night. A 70-year-old woman who spent 4 decades teaching teenagers is not someone who breaks easily. We know manipulation. We recognize the patterns. And when we're protecting our children, we're absolutely monstrous. I'm at peace with that monster. She saved my family, and I'd unleash her again in a heartbeat.